Hey guys, it's John. Here to trying to do shorter and shorter videos so that way you guys actually have an easier time watching them in small bits. So yesterday it was like 106 here, which if you're in centigrade, I'm not sure where that is to be honest, but it's hot. So yesterday was really hot. Had a hard time sitting down long enough without sweating, so I had a hard time putting a video up. But today's talk I want to do on how to know if you're in a relationship where there is at least the fullest expression of love for you. Two things to get into first would be that obviously there's the ideal, right? There's like the standard that everybody really wants in a relationship, but to be honest, everybody makes mistakes. That's not to say that you can't set certain kinds of standards that are realistic, that are based on your experiences with love, and are basically enough to say like that you're getting enough of your needs met in the relationship. So on a case-to-case basis, it's important to realize that while there is such a thing as unconditional love, it's tough to know whether or not your partner is really capable of giving the fullest ideal of that to you every day for the rest of your life. But I do feel like it's important to say that your partner should be trying, and I should say attempting, not as in like giving less intentionally or giving less because of their own personal issues with giving love to others. But I guess if that doesn't make any sense, I should just clarify. Unconditional love is not controlling. Unconditional love is not where they set parameters or conditions or stipulations on you being or doing or just existing a certain way in order for them to give the gift of love, in order to just allow you to be present, in order to allow you to be and in order to for you to express your truth in the best way possible, in the fullest way possible. So your partner will exhibit some of these signs, and that's what I wanted to get into, is regardless of how much they make mistakes, showing signs like when you have discussions about changes you want to make in how your communication works, in the behaviors that you might have around each other, like say cleaning up after themselves is a really small example. Maybe learning to express their emotions in a more healthy way. Maybe finding assistance for whatever mental or spiritual or emotional challenges they may be facing in a way that doesn't exert that pressure on you if you're feeling like you may be sharing most of the burden in terms of emotional, spiritual, mental health. Then your partner will show signs that they are actually doing their best to try. Now there's two sides to this kind of story here. One is how do you know if you're in a relationship where you're experiencing a good and healthy love, but the other side of it is also you being able to receive love in a healthy way, and that has to do with you, that has to do with your experiences in the past with other partners you've had, with parents, and how they expressed love to you, and so that does have an effect on how you perceive love being given to you and how you're aware of it in your life. So two things to practice that I would suggest that might help you grow more aware of that in your experience. And that's one, obviously, to be practicing gratitude, where you train your mind to be more and more aware of things that you're grateful for, things that you have accomplished, gifts that you've been given, people that you've been experiencing in your life that are inspiring or shed light into your life in a really positive and healthy way. Second thing would be to actually do your best to try to understand your partner. And that is usually going to be the best method of getting through to a partner that you're having difficulty communicating with, or difficulty experiencing love with, difficulty facilitating change in a healthy way without creating resentment, or kind of bringing in an energy of like conditionality. So being able to understand your partner and dig into maybe ways that they are familiar with experiencing or communicating love will allow you to see maybe areas that you are weak in receiving love. And that's a big thing, because some people, the way that they were raised, the past experiences they've had with partners, they may have difficulty expressing it in the ways that you typically are familiar with. And so as a result, you'll have a lot of situations where, you know, say for instance, they really enjoy, and there, I think, if you've ever looked at, I think, what do they call it, like, that there's like love languages, I think, where it's like quality time, or words of affirmation, or gifts, or touch. I'm kind of at a loss for what the last couple of them are, but point being that your partner may be familiar with other ways of doing it, and as a result, you may be feeling like you're missing it, like it's not good enough, and that's the difficult point. Is you don't want to go to your partner saying that the love that they're expressing to you isn't good enough. At least that's not the best way to approach like a conversation. But the best way I feel to do this would be to first of all start, if you want to sit down with them and talk to them about how maybe you can express love more freely and more in a way that mutually both people are able to see it and experience it more in their life, would be to start out by recognizing the ways that they do experience and express love in the relationship. So maybe you can start out, if you want to have a conversation with someone that you're feeling like there's an imbalance, would be to go through and say, I'm just curious, I want to know more about how you feel in the relationship that you're giving. And so what are the ways that you feel most comfortable giving and expressing your love to me in this relationship? I'd like to know, because I want to know how to reciprocate and how to give that back to you in ways that you would be more readily like aware of. So like if they are somebody who loves to give you gifts and they really feel like that's the best way that they like to express it, but you don't know that, you might be going around spending lots of time with them because that's how you like to express that. And as a result, you're feeling like you guys aren't really communicating with each other in a love way. And so going through that process and digging into what the other person really likes to experience is going to help you get on the same page. And once you've gotten on that same page, you can hopefully get to a point where you are really expressing that back to them and mirroring that back to them in a way that they are able to see, and then maybe they will be able to see the ways that you enjoy it, and that way you both can really speak each other's language, so to speak, and you'll be able to experience it a lot more on a regular basis. But in order to really get at the problem, the challenge of really expressing that to each other in a healthy way, it really has to do with communication, obviously, and it has to do with where each person is at. And so the second part of what I wanted to really talk about is conditional love and unconditional love, I feel like the biggest aspect of knowing whether or not you're in a relationship that will survive and thrive and take you to where you want to go is knowing if this person, in the very, very current and unchangeable state that they are right now, that you understand them fully, that you know them. And this is, I'd say this is subjective, because how can you really know someone? But ask yourself this question. In the way that they are, as they are, however long you've known them, are you okay with them not changing? And that's a difficult question to ask, because in any situation, there may be things in external situations that have found their way into your relationship as a block or as a challenge to both of you, or to one of you, or to both of you in different ways. But you must realize that unconditional love is something that you have to really take a look at for yourself. Are you okay with them never changing at the core of themselves? Now, there are external influences that come in and may make them behave certain ways. And as a result, there are maybe repetitive behaviors, like say every time they aren't working, they become irritable and resentful, and they become difficult to be around because it makes you feel like you have to change who you are in order for that relationship to be alright, to do okay, to make it through situations. And so it's best to take a look at the core of them. Letting go of individual things that kind of come into the situation. At the core of who they are you okay with them not changing ever? Because culture and media, a lot of times, especially in romantic movies, they really do place an emphasis on storytelling and how individuals will change through time. And so I feel like a lot of times we get caught up thinking that our partner will change, and once they've changed to this ideal, that will be finally we'll be good to go. And when a partner isn't able to get to that point, that then obviously you'll be disappointed. But a lot of times we end up hanging on thinking, just a little bit longer. Maybe once my partner gets this job and they are doing well financially, maybe he won't be so irritable. Maybe she won't be so angry at me when this happens. Maybe the depression will go away. Maybe you know what I mean? So that's setting conditions on the relationship finally being all right, because you think as they are stressed out or depressed or angry or irritable or sad, that as they are, you're not okay with them. And so take a look at maybe how you're seeing this relationship. I feel like this really helps people to really figure out, are they with the right person? And I feel like knowing if you're the right person has to do with both of you. One, are you being allowed to be yourself? Are you being allowed to speak how you feel? Are you having healthy communication styles with each other naturally? If you aren't having healthy communication with each other naturally, do you have the capacity to make that change, because each person is deeply involved in the process of improving your communication, of improving your mental health and your spiritual health and your physical health? A lot of times the process in being in a relationship is a changing one, and so it needs to be able to adapt, to cope with big changes. And like they say, when you get married, till death do you part, through rich or for poor, all that stuff. That's what it means, is at the core of who both of you are. As you make it through difficult challenges, are you both capable of adapting to those changes, allowing room for each other to grow, allowing room for each other to express how they're feeling in each moment as they experience these challenges, so that both of you are allowed to expand and change and adapt and sometimes suffer. A lot of the hardest times that you'll go through in a relationship is when one of you is suffering, because it's difficult to be present with other people going through pain, not being able to fix or solve the challenge, and being present with each other is really difficult. And I feel like that's what love is about, is just allowing the other person to be in all ranges of emotions, in all experiences, in all challenges. And so I feel like that's really the key point for me. Just something I really wanted to share. I don't want to get up to the 20 minutes, so I'm going to wrap it up. But if you have any questions, if you have any topics or suggestions you'd like me to talk about, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And so comment, below. I'll totally respond. You can also email me. I'm putting my email down at the bottom, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So looking forward to seeing you.